All right, everyone, welcome to the Stats Edge Trading Weekend Wrap Up, where we go through everything that happened in the markets this week, what we can expect going into next week, and then a couple trade ideas that I have for stocks that I want to keep an eye on. As always, make sure you are going to www.statsedgetrading.com and you are signing up for the email list. I am working on two projects that I think you guys will like that I'm going to test by going to the email people first before I talk about it on this channel or on Twitter or anything like that. Lastly, give a like, give a share. The algorithms love that. Without further ado, let's just pop into some charts. And as always, we are going to start with Bitcoin. What would a weekend market wrap up be without the weekly chart of Bitcoin? Just chopping around. However, we had this big fake out candle we talked about last week because of this ETF launch. And then we had this fake out candle to the downside. So I am wondering if everyone was betting bearish on the sell the news event, just like I was. Took that short. I've covered, but if you were a bigger institution, you may not have a chance to yet. Full disclosure, I am long a little bit of Bitcoin. I do trade this on a shorter time frame, but I always want to tell you what I've got going here. So nice, looking for a nice break of this kind of 45,000 area that could get us going. The other thing I always want to note is that Bitcoin has this pattern, this mentality of I am going to make one large move and then do a whole bunch of nothing for months, and then one large move and then a whole bunch of nothing for months. So it is very possible that this is neither a bull trap nor a bear trap, and we're just going to do this for even longer than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks. All right, what do we do? Speaking of something that just can't get going, I want to quickly, I know it's the weekend wrap up, but we're going to look at a daily chart here and just see how choppy the dollar has been right here. So this is the dollar index. Faded down yesterday, looked like it was going to maybe break down, which would be bullish for stocks. But I'll show you, stocks don't seem to care about what the dollar is doing right now. And then a massive push up just in its face, but still within this particular range. I would love to see maybe a rest day or so, and then I'm going to buy some dollar related indexes or short some dollar denoted type things. On the weekly chart, however, this is why I always look at multiple time frames, it's still just looking like a bounce in what is an overall downtrend. So this could just be a reversal in through here. So I want to keep both ideas in mind and then just wait for something to occur one way or the other, because right now the dollar's a mess. And again, normally that's a big idea, that's a big deal for stocks. Doesn't seem like that's the case. So here is Aussie yen earlier in the week. If you watch the midweek video, if you don't, make sure you're subscribing and following wherever you're seeing this at. I was talking about how I was kind of lamenting missing this dollar yen trade. I can go right here, this one right here, because I was watching for a break of this downtrend line. I actually took the trade, but it shook me out and I got out flat. However, it looks like that might be a little bit of a fake sell-off. If we continue up next week, might be finally time to break this resistance area that we've been dealing with for so long in Aussie yen. Now, if we go down to pound right here, this is kind of looking opposite-ish of the dollar index, where had a big push up here and it's just basing sideways. But I want to just switch back and forth because the dollar on the weekly chart has been slowly kind of grinding up here. And then if we go down to the cable, or if we go down to pound yen, just can't get going one way or the other. So either way, I think when this resolves, it's going to be big. If the dollar continues to break out here, then I can only imagine this is going to sell. So this is one of the primary ideas I'm watching going into next week. On the currency front is, can I get a short in cable targeting maybe this anchored VWAP down here? If it breaks to the other side, if it completely fakes us out and pushes higher, I may buy that as well, but we have a little less room until this kind of 1.3 resistance area. And take a look here at gold. I love gold right now. It's holding this area right here. As long as it's holding this zone, I have to expect that we're going to make a push higher. If it breaks that and breaks this lower anchored VWAP, then I'm going to flip. And again, this is going to be tied to that dollar as well, right? So a lot of things, maybe that'll be the title of this. Everything waits on the dollar. Just go back to crypto quickly with Ethereum. Just an inside week. Nothing really to write home about here. No patterns that are standing out to me there. Now let's go into trade ideas and let's go out to the weekly chart and let's start looking at some names here for the weekly chart. I'm going to start with the SPY. Let's actually just make this full screen. Do I have a full screen chart open? I do. So let's just go here and then we'll go SPY. And I want to be on the weekly chart, not the daily. So we'll do that. Well, what can I say? Another strong week. There's really nothing else to say. Now, everyone will say, hey, we're overdone. And we are a bit. We're up like 10, 15 weeks in a row with 1 or 2 down weeks. That's what I think is propelling this market higher, is that we are a little overdone, where things have just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. So everybody's betting short against it. So every time we move higher, those shorts have to cover. That's what I think might be going on. I could be completely and absolutely wrong on that one. MDY, let's go down the cap scale. So the SPY is the big guys, MDY mid caps, and then we'll go IWM, which is small. And with the MDY, you can see we're still doing well, but we're not yet broken out of this zone. This is the zone that I'm watching for more participation or continuation in certain names. Then we have IWM right here. And IWM, same thing, just can't seem to get going over prior resistance. So this really is a big cap rally right now. If we go to RSP, RSP is the equal weighted S&P 500. So these are still large cap, but essentially it's weighted less to NVIDIA, Apple, Google, all of these big guys, breaking out here of this resistance zone ever so slightly. So we're lagging here, but it's still better than the MDY and better than the IWM. So we're very much seeing a large cap rally right now. Now, in bull markets, the laggards or the leaders pull up the laggards, right? So if we're going to keep seeing big names break out, then you eventually, in my opinion, will see these other names starting to follow at some point. Couple sectors I wanted to look at, XLY. So this is consumer discretionary. I love this as kind of a health of the overall market. Because if you think consumer discretionary is basically a sector of stuff that you buy that you don't need to buy. Right? It's the simplest way to put it. You have a nice strong candle this week, again, lagging the overall market, but showing if the market was scared or worried, in my opinion, you usually see it here, where people are pulling back and they're not buying as much stuff as they normally do. That, again, seems okay to me. URA, I don't want to be a broken record, but I still like uranium. We have this potential rounded bottom going on right here in uranium. Tried to break out this week and it failed. Looking to see if maybe it needs to gather some steam or chop around and then move higher. If that's the case, that's absolutely fantastic. We have ARKK. I wanted to bring up ARK just to show how it's not getting going at all. So it does still seem to be a market in which profitable companies win. And that's what I use ARK for. ARK is essentially unprofitable type companies that are not doing well. You find in the ARK index, the hope is her investment philosophy is this company isn't making money yet, but in the future, I think it's going to make a lot of money. Be it as you will. That's kind of what's going on there. And we have USO. And USO, it's just oil. Bad week for it. I was looking for a continuation last week. We never got that, so I never got involved in anything oil related. However, we're still holding this base right here. As long as we are holding this kind of $60 level on oil, I'm going to continue to watch it to see if we can reverse and get above this zone right here to see if we're going to continue this higher, maybe to $100. Now, let's get into a couple individual trade ideas, some stocks that I'm looking at. One, this has been on the list forever. Let's switch back here to a daily chart. But we're finally starting to see some strength. This SRRK, the idea behind it is it's pulling back, but it's still well above where it broke out here. And it's got a 24% short float. So a lot of people short this name. Nice downtrend. I'm just waiting for this downtrend to reverse to take a shot on this really strong stock that's been pulling back with a stop under that zone right here. It's a very simple play. It will either work great or I'll get stopped out quick is kind of the way this is going to play. Blink, I've talked about Blink for a while, has a 33% short float on this name, holding these lows very tightly. If we start to push above this zone right here where we had resistance last time, that's where I'm looking for Blink charging. Canada Goose, good old, hey, it's cold up here, right? You need jackets. 30% short float, holding the anchored VWAP from the lows, right? You can see it got there twice, it bounced off it. This is, I don't pick bottoms much, but when I do, I want to see a sell-off, I want to see a bounce, and then when it comes back down, I want it to hold that anchored VWAP from the bottom. So as long as this one holds that, I'm going to keep it on watch, looking to see if this breaks out, say $13 or so, and then hopefully some of these 30% of the short float start to cover. Last but not least is ACET. No idea what this company does, but talk about a potential cup and handle. We have a really big rounded bottom right here, and then we have this little handle pattern going on. 9% short, so nothing crazy, but if this breaks out from this big rounded base, then I think we could push higher on this. And beauty of this kind of thing is a stop will be very, very tight. So that is it from me today. Again, go to www.statsedgetrading.com. You can find Michael Nauss CMT wherever it is that you're looking. Follow me there. I am working on some cool stuff that I think you guys will like. So get ready for that. Thank you guys very much, and get away from the screens.